Hello Year 5, welcome to Monday. Hope you all had a lovely weekend. I didn't particularly. So this picture of a hamster on the screen today kind of represents me. I don't know if you can see, but my cheek's a bit swollen. I've been complaining of a toothache for a while in class, as you know, and on Friday I went to the doctor's and I had to have one of my wisdom teeth out, so one of your very, very back teeth that come through when you're older had to be taken out. So I spent the weekend feeling very sorry for myself, and yeah, so I've got a nice swollen cheek. So I thought this hamster kind of represented me today. But anyway, I hope you've had a better weekend. Obviously today is Monday the 25th of January and your skill today is to add 3 or more fractions. Okay, so if you could underline that for me nice and neatly and come back when you're ready for your arithmetic. Okay, so today's arithmetic for your bronze challenge, you have got your 2 times tables. Okay, quite easy. You should all be really confident with your 2 times tables now. There are a few trickier ones though. And then you've got your silver challenge, which is so subtraction, but you've got your answer which goes at the front. And then you've got your gold challenge, which is times in a 3-digit number by a 2-digit number. Okay, so pause the video, take your time with that, come back when you're ready for the answers. Okay, here are your answers. Okay, so make sure you're going through, just checking those. There is an arithmetic sheet under the resources for maths as well on the website. So if for any reason there's something that I haven't noticed that's incorrect when I video, hopefully I may have noticed when you have a look on the resource, but I'm really double checking, so hopefully there'll be no errors. Okay, so let's have a quick recap from last week then. So can you find the equivalent fractions? Okay, so pause the video. Okay, you might want to write these in your books. Okay, just as a quick warm up, you might want to just discuss it in the bubble. Okay, you might want to do it on your whiteboards. Okay, don't mind how you do it, just have a quick warm up to find the equivalent fraction, see if you can remember how to do it. So have a quick pause, come back when you're ready for the answers. Okay, so the answers then for the equivalent fractions. So if we have got 3 quarters, okay, it's what we times 4 by to get to 20. It's the same, okay? So 4 times 5 is 20, 3 times 5 is 15. Got then 1/4 is equivalent to 6 over 24. Okay, this time we knew that we had to times by 6 because we had a 1, and then we knew times by 6 was 6, so it meant we had to times the 4 by 6. Okay, and then we've got 3/5. Okay, what have we times 5 by to get to 15? It's 3, and 3 3s are 9. We've got 2/7, okay, is the same as 8/28 because we've times by 4. And then 5/8 we've times 5 by 4 to get to 20, so we times 8 by 4 to get to 32. And then we've got 4/6 is the same as 2/3. Okay, so well done if you remembered how to do those. So let's learn then. So can you write the calculation that is represented by the images? Okay, so first of all, our first thing, what's the denominator? So each of these shapes represent a different fraction. So looking at the first one, what's the denominator? How many equal parts has it been divided into? Okay, we know it's 6. There are 6 equal parts. And we can look at the second and the third, and we can see actually they're all equal. They've all been divided into 6 equal parts. Okay, how many pieces have been shaded in the first shape? How many out of the 6 pieces have been shaded? Okay, the first one we've got 3 out of the 6. The second one we've got 4 out of the 6. And then the last one is the same, so we've got 4 out of the 6. Okay, what do we need to do next? Okay, what do we already know about adding fractions when the denominators are the same? Okay, you did some of this last week when you were adding fractions, so today we're doing the same, but we're just adding 3 or more. Okay, so if we already know the denominators are the same, we know the bottom number, it will always be 6. And then we just add along the top. Okay, so we've got 3, add 4 is 11, okay? So we have got 11 over 6. So 11 over 6, we can then change that into a mixed number. We know that 6 goes into 11 one time, and there's 5 left over. So the answer is 1 and 5, 6. So 3, 6, add 4, 6, add 4, 6 equals 11, 6, which is the same as 1 and 5, 6. What do you notice about these images? Okay, have a think a little bit more carefully this time. What do you notice? Do you think you could write down the fractions that you've got there? Okay, you might want to have a pause and discuss the images here. Okay, so as you can see on the first one, they've all the shapes have been divided into different amounts. Okay, so the first one's been divided into 3 pieces, the second shape's been divided into 6 pieces, and the last shape's been divided into 12. So we've got different denominators. Now if we're writing the fraction, we can see that the first one has got 1/3 shaded, the middle one has got 3/6, and the last one has got 6/12. Okay, what do we need to do next? These are our fractions, we need to add them together. How are we going to do that? What do you remember from last week to help you? Okay, so hopefully you can see and you can identify that the denominators are all multiples of 3. So we can convert them into equivalent fractions. Okay, so what can we divide them all into? What is the lowest common denominator? So something that are all multiples. Okay, now if we were to divide the 12 pieces into 3 pieces, it means we have to divide by 4, which means we have to divide 7 by 4, and that's not going to help. Okay, so the best way to do it is to look, and we can see that 12 is going to be the best thing to, lowest common denominator, okay? It's the best thing to change all of our fractions into, because we know that 3 goes into 12 and 6 goes into 12. So let's do that. So we know we need to times 3 by 4 to get 12 as our denominator, which means we need to times 1 by 4. Okay, so our first fraction is now 4 over 12, so 4/12. Okay, what do we need to times the next one by? Is it going to be 4? No, it's going to be 2, because 2 times 6 is 12, and then we need to do 2 times 3, which is 6. Okay, so now we have the same denominator. Okay, so now we can calculate them. We can add the fractions together. So we can see if we add them all together, we've got 17/12. Now, let's do it into a mixed number. How many 12ths go into 17? We know it's 1. How many are left over? It's 5/12. Okay, so our answer is 1 and 5/12. Okay, have a go at calculating this one with me. Okay, so you want to draw out these shapes. Remembering they must be the same size. And like I've said previously, I would always recommend drawing the shapes to fit the largest one in. So if you're given 3 fractions with 3 different shapes, it's always best to make sure that when you're drawing it, you've got enough to fill the biggest one in. It's easier to have the small amount of equal parts to begin with, because you can colour more in, than it is if you just started with 5 bits and you had to make 20 out of 5 squares. You're going to get really tiny little fractions. Okay, so it's probably best to draw in your books along your squares a row of 5 at the top and then 4 down the side, or the other way around, is up to you. Okay, so pause the video whilst you do that. Okay, make sure you're colouring in the correct amount of shaded parts. Okay, and then we can go through the fractions together. Okay, so your first fraction then, how many equal parts do you have in the first fraction? Okay, we have 10. The second one we have 5 equal parts, and then lastly we have 20 equal parts. How many pieces are shaded? Okay, we've got 6 in the first one, so we've got 6/10. We're going to add 2/5, and we're going to add 10/20. Okay, now we've got our fractions, but our denominators are not the same. Okay, so we need to convert them to make sure they're the same, so we can add our fractions together. So how are we going to change 10 to 20? We're going to times it by 2, which also means we're going to change the 6 and times that by 2, which is going to give us 12. Okay, the middle one, we have got fifths, but we need to change our fifths to 20ths. So what do we need to times 5 by to get to 20? It's going to be 4. Okay, and then we're going to times our 2 by 4 to give us 8. Okay, so now we can add these together. So we've got 12 plus 8 plus 10. Our denominator is going to stay at 20. Okay, so we have got 30/20. Okay, now we need to change this to a mixed number. How many 20ths go into 30? If you've got 30 pencils, how many groups of 20 can you make? You can only make one group. How many will you have left over? You'll have 10. So you can always do this with something at home, so pieces of pasta or pencils. Okay, if you want to find out how to find the mixed number, you get 30 pieces and you have to make a group of 20, and that will tell you how many whole groups. Okay, your bottom number, you are dividing by that bottom number to your top number. So you get 1 and 10/20 left over, or you could divide them both by 10 and you'd have 1/2. Okay, so have a go at doing this one by yourself. So draw the representations in your book and calculate the answers. Remembering though, if you do have an improper fraction as your final answer, you'll need to convert it to a mixed number. Okay, pause the video, take your time with that, make sure you're drawing the shapes accurately and that they're the same size for the whole shape. You can see here the 3 outside boxes are the same size. They've just been divided into different amounts of equal parts. See if you can work that one out and then come back when you're ready to go through it, okay? Okay, so our first one, we've got 3 equal parts, okay, and you have got 1 shaded part. The next one, you've got 12 equal parts and 7 shaded parts. And then finally, you've got 6 equal parts and 3 shaded parts. Okay, so that is going to equal, we're not adding up yet, are we? Because we need to change these into the common denominators. So we're going to multiply our 3 by 4 to give us 12. So if we're doing that to the denominator, we're going to do it to the numerator. So 1 times 4 is 4. Okay, and now you're going to do the same for your 3/6. So we're going to times 6 by 2 to get 12, and 3 times 2 to get 6. Now can we add them up? Yes, we can, because all the denominators are the same. So our denominator is going to stay as 12. Okay, and then we're going to add the top numbers up, which means we've got 17. 17 twelfths. Okay, then you need to change it to a mixed number. If you've got 17 pieces of pasta, how many groups of 12 can you make? You can make 1, and there's 5 twelfths left over. Brilliant. Good job. Now let's answer one without pictorial representations, okay? So without the pictures, without the shapes to help you. So we've got 11/16 plus 2/8. Add 2/4. What does that equal? Okay, you might want to talk to the people around you. Okay, you might want to have a discussion in the bubble, or if you're at home, you might want to try and work it out. How would you possibly answer this? If you're at home and you can't think about how you'd answer it, you might want to go back, have a quick rewind and have another look at the ones with the pictures. Okay. So, first things first, we need to find our lowest common denominator. Okay. We can see that 4 and 8 are both multiples of 16, so we can times 4 by 4 and we can times 8 by 2. So we're going to make our denominator 16. Okay, so we can see that whatever we've done to the bottom number, we've done to the top. So up here, we've times 4 by 4 to get 16, so we've times 2 by 4 to get 8, and we've times 8 by 2, okay, to get 4. Okay. So we've now got 23/16 because we can add along the top now, and our denominator remains the same because they're all the same. We've got 23/16. How are we going to change that into a mixed number? How many times is 16 going to 23? It's 1. And how many left over? It's 7. Okay, so we're doing exactly the same way as if we were to have the pictures in front of us, but we're just doing the numbers instead. Okay, let's try another one. So you've got 1/15 plus 7/10 plus 11/30. Okay, what are you going to make your denominator as? What's your lowest common denominator? Okay, so we are going to use 30 this time. So if we've got 15 as our denominator for our first one, what do we need to times it by? We times it by 2 to get to 30, so we times our numerator by 2 to give us 2. And then we've got 10, and now with 10 we're timesing it by 3 because we just need to get to 30. Okay, and then we also need to times our numerator by 3, so 7 times 3 is 21, and we've already got 11/30. So again, our denominator remains the same, and we just add along the top to give us 34. Okay, how many 30s go into 34? This one's a bit simpler. So you've got one group of 30. So now if you've taken 30 away from 34, how many have you got left? You've got 4 30ths left. Okay. If you want to change that and simplify it even more, you could have 2 15ths. Okay, because we had 4 30ths. If we divide them both by 2, we get 2 15ths. Okay, super job. Now it's your turn for your independent practice. Okay, so you had a little practice with the pictorial images and the representations. Now I'd like you to try with the numbers. Okay, so don't forget, it's really important that if your denominators are not the same, you need to make them the same. You need to change them to equivalent fractions. Okay, if you do that, if you're in the bubble and you do those really quickly, okay, then there's something for you whilst you wait, a problem solving one, which you can write down in your books, draw the picture, and you can answer it in your blue pen. Okay, explain your reasoning behind that and what free fractions could have been added to get 18th. Okay, so pause the video now, keep those on your screen, okay, and then come back for your final thought when you're ready. Okay, final thought today. Eva is attempting to answer 3/5 plus 1/10 plus 3/20. Eva's answer is 7 out of 35, so 7/35. Do you agree with Eva? Explain why. So again, if you're in the classroom and you've got lots of time left, you could perhaps write this in your book with your reasoning pen, with your blue pen. Okay, that's really good practice. If not, just a discussion would be absolutely great. I'm sure that you'll get this one quite quickly because you're doing really brilliant work with your fractions. Okay, so let's have a look then. Eva is wrong because she's added the numerators and denominators together but hasn't found a common denominator. So she has just added across the top. Okay, so we can see she's got 3 plus 1 plus 3 is 7, but she's just added the denominators. Okay, so she should have changed the 5. She should have times that by 7 to get to 35. Okay, and then she should have times the, sorry, no, she shouldn't have done that at all. She should, I'm just looking at this one here. She should have times the 5 by 4 to get to 20, and she should have times the 10 by 2 to get to 20. Therefore, she would have times the numerators by the same, and then got 17 out of 20, not 7 out of 35. Well done if you got that right. Okay then, here are your answers for today's independent practice. So what I'm going to do is I've got the answers for you, and then I've also got the simplified answer. So if you've only got one of the answers, well, if you've got the improper fraction and the mixed number correct, but you haven't simplified it, don't worry, give yourself a tick, okay? But it might be useful to write down the simplified fraction as well, so you know. Okay, so we've got 1/2 plus 1/8 plus 5/4. Okay, so we have got 15 over 8, which is the same as 1 7/8. We've then got 25 out of 20, okay, so 25/20, which is the same as 1 5/20. Okay, we then got 2/3 plus 6/12 plus 4/6. Oh, sorry, let's go back. We're going to simplify the first one, second one, or it could be 5/4 equals 1 1/4. So it depends on whether you've simplified the 25 out of 20, okay, and kept it as that, or whether you've simplified it to 5/4, 5/4. Okay, so number 3, we've got 22/12, which equals 1 10/12, or you could simplify that to 11/6 and 1 whole and 5/6. You've then got 4/5 plus 1/10 plus 3/30 equals 3/30, okay, which is the same as 1 whole. You could have simplified that first. You could have simplified the 30th out of 30 to 1 over 1, which also equals 1 whole. And then lastly, you've got 24/16, which equals 1 8/16. Or hopefully you would have noticed that you can divide that and make it 3 over 2, which is the same as 1 1/2. Okay, pause the video like that if you prefer, okay, and then you can go back through and just double check how the answers came about, how they've been simplified. Okay, so the blue numbers are the answers in their lowest form, their lowest possible fractions, okay? And then if you were waiting and you answered this question, so Jack has added 3 fractions together to get an answer of 17 over 18. What fractions could he have added? Here are the possible answers for you. Okay, so well done if you did get to that bit, if you quickly went through, or if you're at home and you just wanted to give yourself an extra task for that for today, then that's a really good idea. So well done. Okay, I hope that's been okay for you. I shall see you again tomorrow, when hopefully I can speak a little bit clearer and my cheeks not as puffy. And I'm actually in school tomorrow as well, so jolly good. I shall see you then for those of you that are in. Have a lovely rest of the day.